Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Dikshita.
Morning, Namaskar.
Okay, and we will start from this endotoxin and exotoxin part that we left in our last lecture. And I hope you have revisited these slides and gone through them. And as we discuss this exotoxin. Exotoxin are released by the bacteria to the outer environment, and they are very much heat labile, these exotoxins, and they also bind to specific receptors on the cell. Yeah, I shown you, and they are highly toxic and sometimes proved very fatal, dangerous, and you can say lethal as well. But it does not produce any fever in the host cell. And on the other hand, this endotoxin, those are usually lipopolysaccharides and lipoproteins complexes. They are typically heat resistant molecules, and mm, they cause fevers and diarrhea and vomiting, and they are rarely fatal, but they cause the problem. Although it is not fatal so much, still they cause a lot of problem and sometimes induce fevers. How exotoxin works? So these exotoxin produced by bacteria fall into three categories. One is cytolytic toxin, another is AB toxin, and third one is superantigen toxin. What do you mean by cytolytic toxin? Cyto means cells, you know this. Lytics means breakdown. So the bacteria, the produce toxin which break down the cell or brings the lysis in the cell are called cytolytic toxin, and they cause the cell death by lysis. So bacteria, it produce the toxin, the exotoxin that breaks down the cell and damage it and bring to the death to the cell. We call it a cytolytic toxin. AB toxin. The AB toxin usually have two components called component A and component B. The component B binds to a specific receptor of the cell, and component A enters the cell and cause damage. So I will show one example here, yeah, in Google for your better understanding. AB toxins. So if you will see this is one AB toxin, and this is the receptor for the AB toxin, and in this receptor, this AB toxin get into this inside the cell, and you can see in the AB toxin one is a little bit blue color and one is a red color. So this is one domain, and this is another domain that is called we uh, mm, A component or B component. And further they enter into the cell, and uh, they enter into the cell and do the damage. And you can also see here, this is B component, this is A component, and they bind to the receptor. But in the absence of either of the component, if the B component will not be there, this molecule will not bind to the receptor. Similarly, if A component will not be there, this B component will not bind to the receptor. So always this A and B component are necessary for its functionality. And in the absence of one domain or other domain or other component, it will not work. And as you have seen this, both the domains bind to the receptor on the cell and then enters the cell and cause the damage. Another is superantigen toxin. Superantigens means those are certain kind of toxins that stimulate large number of immune cells, resulting in extensive and inflammatory reaction. So again, I will show you these immune cells. So you know there are several kind of cells in our body, and so you see immune cell. These are basophil cell, eosinophil, neutrophil, mast cell, natural killer cell, macrophage, dendritic cells, T cell, B cell. These are different name of these immune cells. So when some kind of exotoxin is released by the bacteria, these kind of cells get hyperreactive because they want to neutralize the protein, neutralize the toxin, so that they can save you. You see, this is B cell, this is T cell, these are natural killer cell. They always get activated so that they can generate the antibody, and they will bind this toxin, and they will bring it to this degradation pathway, and they will degrade it. So the role of these immune cells are very important, but sometimes also it became very dangerous because to protect the body, sometimes immune cell get hyperreactive. Sometimes you get rashes in your body. Those are we call allergies, you know. And what is allergy? This allergy is nothing about this hyper response of immune cells. And because this they try to capture this antigen, or you can say toxin, whatever it is, a foreign particle, and they want to kill that. That's why it make this inflammation kind of thing, and the cells get circle this antigen, and so that this antigen cannot move to the other part of the cell, and it will not able to damage other cells, and it should not go to other parts of the body. So they make rashes, which we call in immunological term it is inflammation. But sometimes, you know, due to high inflammation, you got a lot of fever also. So due to the fever, we become sick, and it happens all these things like this. So due to this super antigen, you can say, or toxin, you can say, these result in the inflammation and hyper response of immune cells. So you see, this is the sketch. The cytotoxin cause cell lysis, and this superantigen toxin called extensive inflammation. And this ivitoxin has two components. We already studied this. If you will see cytolytic toxin of Streptococcus pyogenes. So these Streptococcus pyogenes colonize in the throat, genital, and mucosa, rectum, and skin also. And it has many virulence factors, including cytolytic and superantigen toxin. So Streptococcus pyogenes release both cytolytic and superantigen toxin, and when we culture in agar media containing red blood cells, if we culture these Streptococcus pyogenes having red blood cells, colonies cause the lysis of the cell. So this bacterial colony cause the lysis of the cells. You can see there are bacteria, growth of bacteria, and they have damaged the blood cells. And you can see they break down the blood cells from these parts. And the cell lysis is caused by the release of streptolysin O. So what is the chemical or the toxin of the Streptococcus pyogenes? This is streptolysin O and streptolysin S toxin. So this Streptococcus pyogenes releases streptolysin O and streptolysin S toxin that damages our cell. Okay. In the process of cell lysis, and it causes lysis in our blood cells as well. You might have heard about this botulinum toxin. So botulinum toxin is AB toxin, as you discuss, and this botulinum disease is caused by microorganism Clostridium botulinum. So what happened in this botulinum disease? The toxin causes the failure of the muscles to contract. So if Clostridium botulinum will infect us, what will happen? Our muscle will fail to contract. So our muscle get contract, then expand, contract, expand, contract, expand, like this. And if our muscle will not contract properly, it will lead to paralysis. And the disease caused by this botulinum toxin is called botulism. And sometimes death from botulism is caused by the respiratory failure. So due to Clostridium infection, people can die due to respiratory failure, and it paralyze the muscles. So here you can see how it works. This botulinum toxin. This botulinum toxin acts by inhibiting the release of acetylcholine from neuromuscular junction. So acetylcholine is one of these signaling molecule that help for signaling in our nervous system, in the neuromuscular junction. So this what botulinum toxin do? It inhibit the release of acetylcholine. So when it inhibit the signaling molecule acetylcholine, our neurons fail to receive any signal. So it don't undergo contraction and relaxation. Okay, because there is no signal. and this acetylcholine is responsible for the contraction of muscles. So this acetylcholine, what it do, it contracts our muscles. But if there will be botulinum toxin, this botulinum toxin will inhibit the production of acetylcholine or function of acetylcholine, and due to that our muscle will not contract, it will always be in like this mode. So that means our body will not function properly, because our body is always in palpitation mode, contraction and relaxation system is there. And due to this muscle contraction fail, and it leads to the paralysis. And you see this is if you see, this is the excitation signal from the central nervous system, and this is muscle cell. But if this acetylcholine, if you say this acetylcholine induces contraction of the muscle fiber, but here botulinum toxin will be there. These are botulinum toxin just given as a symbol here. Botulinum toxin will come and fixed here, and you see these are all the relaxed muscles, and there is no acetylcholine, and the muscle will remain like this, and it will not function properly. But this botulinum toxin is used in cosmetics. Which kind of cosmetics? In Botox cosmetics. So you know about Botox cosmetic? Anybody? Excuse me?
Yes, doctor, we know about it.
Okay, that's good. So, this, yeah, and very surprising is that this Botox cosmetic is very costly at the first place. So you know this, although Clostridium botulinum do diseases, its toxin is very much financially in business purpose. It is very much important to us, because when we use this toxin in a regulated manner, it is very good. It's a cosmetic. But when bacteria infect us and release uncontrolled botulinum toxin, it is very dangerous for us. And what happen in Botox cosmetics? A small amount of toxin is injected at a certain site to relax the muscle and change facial expression. So here you can see the expression, it's just contracted muscle, and after given botulinum toxin, you can see it's always the expression is just like very beautiful, and there is, you can see stress level is not you can see here the stress level is very less compared to this, and in the same here as well. And also people, those who suffer with very long term migraine, headache, they also take this Botox cosmetic, specifically botulinum toxin, as an injection, and it gives a relief around 6 months or something like this. But it is very costly. All these big rich people, celebrities used to take all these Botox cosmetics by paying a hefty amount. Next is tetanus toxin. Just like this botulinum toxin, you have heard about tetanus. A lot of people might have taken vaccine for tetanus during your early times. When you are a kid or in the childhood, and a lot of pregnant women also used to give tetanus toxin so that they should not be infected with this Clostridium tetani microbes during the pregnancy period and for the sake of the uh, growing baby. And this tetanus toxin is released by microbes called Clostridium tetani. What it do? This toxin causes excessive muscle contraction and involuntary muscle movement. In the case of botulinum, muscle is get relaxed; it don't contract. But in the case of Clostridium, what happens? It contract the muscle and it don't release. So in both the cases, muscle movement stop. Here it contracts and don't leave. You see, due to the tetanus toxin, how this person the muscle get contracted and it's got like it's bent like anything. And if anybody showing this kind of symptom, that means that person is infected with Clostridium tetani and there is a tetanus toxin in his or her body, and this tetanus toxin is a kind of the toxin. And I will just take you to this YouTube link how kids suffer with this you see, this is a newborn baby and 6 day 2.6 kg, and the baby cannot express. And how the symptom, you see, it contracting the muscles. The jaw got locked. You see, it's contracted. And in this case, management can be done with nursing care, and antitoxin can be given for the treatment, and this muscle relaxant medicine can be given such kind of patient, and if proper care will be taken, they can be saved properly. Here you see this the mechanism of action of tetanus toxin is exactly opposite to that of this botulinum, right? So how it happen? You see, here the muscle is in the relaxed state, and as we are discussing this tetanus toxin inhibit the activity of inhibitory neurons. And these inhibitory neurons are responsible for relaxing the muscle by inhibiting excitatory neurons. And here what happened? Glycine release from the inhibitory neuron stop acetylcholine release and allow relaxation of muscle. So this glycine amino acid released from the inhibitory neurons. So these are the inhibitory neurons, and stop acetylcholine release, and they stop the release of this acetylcholine and allow relaxation of muscle. But what this tetanus toxin do? This tetanus toxin binds the inhibitory neuron. This tetanus toxin bind here, you see, and don't allow the release of this amino acid glycine, and preventing release of glycine and relaxation of muscle. So when there is no glycine molecule in this neuron, the relaxation of muscle gets stopped and it remain contracted like this. And due to that, all this contraction of the muscle happens, and it don't allow the proper movement. Now you see the cholera toxin. The disease cholera is caused by the bacteria Vibrio cholerae, and it is also a AB kind of toxin. And it causes excessive release of water into the small intestine, which cause watery diarrhea that lasts for a few days. So when someone is infected with this cholera or Vibrio cholerae, it causes excessive release of water into the small intestine. So in our intestine, we get a lot of water. And due to that, we go a lot of dehydration. And sometimes people also get died due to cholera also. But if treated properly, it's not so lethal. And due to this, we need to go several times to toilet, and this result in the dehydration, and due to release of this water molecule, lot of electrolyte also come out from our body, and it cause imbalance in our body, and due to imbalance, our body physiology get disturbed, and we feel sick. And usually, how we treat? We give oral fluid containing electrolyte solution, and replenish the water content into the body that we lose during the cholera infection. And yes, ultimately we need to kill all these bacteria to get rid of the disease, and for that we always need antibiotic. Okay, so antibiotic treatment is also very important in any of the bacterial infection. So how cholera toxin work? Mechanism of action of cholera toxin. So adenyl, you can see adenyl cyclase is one enzyme, okay, and this cholera toxin activate adenyl cyclase, and when we get cholera toxin, it activates this adenyl cyclase, and what this adenyl cyclase do? It convert ATP into cyclic AMP. So ATP is the energy house of the body, you know, and this ATP get converted to cyclic AMP. ATP stand for adenosine triphosphate and AMP stand for adenosine monophosphate. So this is the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It has 3 phosphate molecule. Okay, and this molecule get converted to this kind of form, cyclic adenosine monophosphate. So these are 3 phosphate molecule present in this side. It became cycle-like structure. Okay, and due to this, when we got the cholera toxin, the adenyl cyclase convert ATP molecule to cyclic adenosine monophosphate, and this CAMP activates protein that secrete chlorine ion into the intestinal lumen. So what CAMP do? It activates the protein in our this plasma membrane of the cell that secretes chlorine ion into the intestinal lumen. So what it do? It activates some enzyme here, and the chloride ion present in the cell move into the intestine. So when chlorine is there in the intestinal lumen, in our intestine, this leads to sodium and water secretion into the intestinal lumen. So when chlorine will be more in our intestine, sodium and water will automatically come, because this is their relation. You know, this is this sodium chloride, table salt, water. So when this chlorine come into the intestine, the sodium from the cell also come out, because it always want to make a balance of chlorine and sodium, because chlorine is negatively charged particle and sodium is positively charged particle. So if there will be more chlorine in our intestine, it will be very dangerous. So what body want to do? It also releases sodium into our lumen. And how this sodium come? It come with water. So now in our intestine we have chlorine, we have sodium, and we have water. So these all of these things, when present in the intestine in large amount, it became very problematic for us, and we go to toilet multiple time, and only this due to diarrhea we excrete this water and loss of body electrolytes. So due to this, we lose sodium, we lose chlorine, we lose water, and due to this our body get imbalance from these electrolytes and water content. You see, so this is one cell having all these things, and this is intestinal lumen in our intestine. So when the botulinum, this cholera toxin come in contact with this adenyl cyclase, this sodium, and it's not H2O2, it is water. Okay. This is not H2O2. I mistakenly mentioned it. This is only water. This sodium ion and water molecule come into the intestinal lumen when this chlorine is already in this intestinal lumen of our body, and due to this it makes a lot of problem to us, and we suffer with this diarrhea that is caused by cholera. That is, the causal organism is Vibrio cholera, and this toxin is AB kind of toxin. And I have finished here this about this infection and microbial pathogenesis, and we have discussed with a few toxins, and you know how toxins do work, and how it make us problem, and even toxins are sometimes very good, just like botulinum toxin when we use them properly. And this is all about this pathogenesis and pathogenicity of different toxins. And we studied this about toxin of cytolytic toxins called by these pyogens that break down the cell, these AB kind of toxins, and these some super antigens also produced by different bacteria. And sorry, I have to add a few. So super antigen toxin, I have missed this super antigen toxin, so just I will explain about super antigen toxins. So we already discussed that super antigen toxin activate our immune cells, and do hyper responses, and make us a problem. And what they do, this is one kind of typical super antigen protein produced by bacteria, you can see. And this super antigen toxin activates T cells, activates B cells, binds to MSC plus second. MSC means major histocompatibility complex. Those who are studying immunology, they know these things, I think. And The symptoms are vomiting and gastrointestinal toxicity, and also they do inflammation. I will re-upload this slide uh, for you, and what they do usually, I discussed about this. They produce antibody, IgG, IgM, and IgE. So all mm, all when you get any kind of food poisoning and this allergy, these are all uh, caused by bacteria also, and other organism also. But as we are studying with these super antigens, they activate these T cells. These are immune cells. These will B cells, and binds to the major histocompatibility complex, MHC. So in different immune cell, you will find uh, these are some major histocompatibility complex, and these antigens come and bind in these major histocompatibility complex, and they activate this. And when this uh, toxin will bind here, you'll see signal will go inside the cell, and other things will happen, and they will produce antibody, that is immunoglobulin G, immunoglobulin M, immunoglobulin E, and these antibody will bind to this antigen and will bring them to the breakdown pathway so that they can save you. And when you get allergy specifically, the IgE will be very high. Okay, immunoglobulin E, and so when there will be immunoglobulin E at the higher amount, you will get lot of allergic response, and sometimes this allergy caused by this super antigen is highly dangerous, because few people are allergic to seafood, few people are allergic to some of these pollen and spores. Spores can be bacterial spores, and in the pollen there can be bacteria also. So due to a lot of things, all these super antigen production happens, and they lead to the production of all these antibody, and the symptom is usually you'll feel uh, vomit sense, gastrointestinal toxicity, uh, allergic responses. You will get sneezing, and you may get rashes in our body, and but sometimes this allergic response is very dangerous. It became it brings respiratory failure also in some cases, but in the majority of cases, these are all comes from different foods. So basically, the super antigens are come from food site much more than other infection sites. So we finished here today this pathogenesis and different toxin. And if you have any question, please write me and ask me.
Doctor,
Yes, and
could we go up?
please put your
Because
attendance. Yes.
we have an exam. Could we go?
Yeah, yeah. Did you give your ID here for attendance? So those who have not
Yeah.
given, please. Okay, okay. Yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, thank you. And if anybody have any doubt, write in
Doctor,
my. Yes.
what about the midterms exam?
So you want to face exam? I will tell you. Why you are worried? Thanks to all of you. And if anybody has any doubt and